Welcome everybody to another episode of Indie Inquiries here on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. For each show, we review indie game store pages to provide the best advice for marketing and presenting your game. If you'd like for us to take a look at your game for a future show, please reach out. Joining me, my co-host from Casual Game Studio, Joshua Reyes. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for another Steam page review. And this one is interesting because it's a re-review, correct?
This is a review of a store page from a friend of mine who's been working on this game for quite some time. So, we reviewed Buluk Mayan Warfare. This was last year. I think this was one of the last ones I did with Rob, sadly. And since then, my friend has been working on this game from Ninja 5, and the game is actually due out, as you can see by that release date, very shortly at the time of recording this. So, for those of you watching this on the channel, the game should either be out or be very close to being out. So, for those of you who missed the first review, this is a hack and slash game built on kind of Aztec Mayan aesthetic and storytelling. So, for this, as always, we'll start with the title card. And the title card has definitely seen a number of revisions as we've been reviewing the store page. So this is the latest iteration. And as you can tell, it's using the in-game graphic for it. And I don't know, I feel like that is a no-no in today's market. What do you think?
Definitely. You always kind of want to have something different other than in-game graphics. It really doesn't show much of an effort and a way of creating a thumbnail, or even like it doesn't really present well. Usually, in-game
Mm-hmm.
graphics are too messy to even show up in a thumbnail, right? It needs
Mm-hmm.
to be usually crafted, such as we'll look at the previous thumbnail in a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so that way it can be framed better. As we can see here, it has some framing issues, right? As you
Mm-hmm.
pointed out, it's really hard to read the name of the game from there. It's obscured by, like, I think you said the shield you believe was a part
Yeah.
of the name, correct? And it's difficult to read. And then also you have the projectile, and that is pushing your eye to the right.
Yep.
And so you had a missed opportunity to move the name at least under there,
Mm-hmm.
where there was some clear view, and then I think a border at least to help that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely a no-no to use in-game footage. I don't know when it ever was in vogue.
Mm-hmm.
It maybe in really really low res games it could work, but not in this type of genre or video game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. And as you said, with the fire kind of leading your eye away from the title, definitely hurts it. And the text itself, it just doesn't stand out enough without having some kind of background or, like background shading to it to help it reach out. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, when we get down to the About This Game section, we'll look at what the original thumbnail, the original design
right.
was. And I feel like that one was stronger than this one. That's always a bad thing, because I've had issues like that with some of my thumbnails where I try to make improvements and they just end up looking worse than the original. And it is unfortunately a very challenging thing to do, especially if you don't have an eye or a grasp for art like yours truly right here. But
Right.
again, this is also unfortunately part of the marketing that you need to do for these games, because a really attractive thumbnail is also a great thing to, plaster everywhere. You show it on Twitter, on social media. It's a great way to catch someone's eye. And without it, it does drag the game and by extension the store page down a few pegs.
Right. And just again, when you're saying plastering it everywhere, when we view the other one, we want to consider the readability of just the overall image of the thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the just drastic contrast. And one would be easy to read from far away, and the other one you would have to walk right up to it and see it, which would probably be too far to view it, right?
Yeah,
So
And this is where good iconography will come in. Like if you have a really
Exactly.
attractive thumbnail, you can show that thing, 10, 15 feet away. You can blow it up and people
Right.
will immediately recognize it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so unfortunately for this thumbnail, I don't remember off the top of my head what I gave the last one, but for this, I think I'm leaning towards a D for it. It just
Yeah.
it it just doesn't work conceptually. It doesn't sell you on the game, and it's just very hard. Like we again like put this up somewhere. It's gonna be hard to make out the text, make out what is actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could add to that. I'm going to give it a D as well. Again, just even with what it has, you could fix a bit of the issues, right? If you're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I need to use the in-game footage. Well, you could just move the icon over to the right or something. A few more
Mm-hmm.
adjustments are needed. I
Yep.
really, I kind of, I'm not, I could not recommend to use this one as a thumbnail. Is what I would say. So yeah, a D.
All right, so with that, I think I have everything squared away. We are going to take a look at the trailer right now. So, good mix of action so far.
Right into the action within 5 to 6 seconds.
So, lots of lightning blasts. Let's see. Not sure the music is really syncing to it.
I don't think so either. For Aztec and Mayan world, it's not really giving me that vibe.
Lightning. Alright, so then ends with the title on a black screen. Theme. All it's a trailer that I think it's serviceable. Not what I would say is like my absolute favorite, however. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think as we discussed earlier, it's a bit long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you really comb through it, we found quite a few errors in it. Different shading,
Mm-hmm.
different shadings or shaders were used in certain parts. Wasn't sure if it was older footage, beta footage, alpha. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but combining different builds together in a trailer isn't good practice, right? You want to show one
Mm-hmm.
succinct version, because otherwise, I'm very unsure on what I'm getting. So I noticed that there's also some bugs that were there, some
Mm-hmm.
animation bugs. I think we noticed. Any other bugs you noticed in?
Yeah,
Um,
like at the 7 second mark, you can see these images like magically popping in out of nowhere during the
right.
fight.
There were some spawn in errors. I think they were using like an AI pooler, and it just spawned in. So those things are it because the trailer is so long. It allowed a lot if you end up watching it, right, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a very long trailer, but because it's so long, it allows you to see so many of the errors in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is some good shots in the game if we'll
Mm-hmm.
look down in a little bit some of the gifs that are used and stuff like that. You can use that. So we could have shortened down the trailer from, what does it run, 111 121.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have brought that down to, I don't even, 40 seconds and have a lot more impact. And again, it doesn't end with a crescendo. There's no really rhyme or reason or structure to
Mm-hmm.
it. It just simply shows me combat and some music that doesn't really fit with it. Almost seems like the music was chosen just from an asset pack or something, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't. doesn't really fit it. I don't know, Josh. Anything else on it?
One thing that I noticed that looks like a little bit weird. If you look at the 20, where is it? Just lost it there. You look at like the 23-second to 24 mark. It looks like something changes. I can't tell like the resolution shifted or if a shader was altered, but like something about like how things look like the background buildings like looks like they like changed somehow. I can't put my finger on it.
Oh, I see it. I see it. It's almost like occlusion. Yeah, I see it now. There's some like stenciling, like some post process stenciling happening because it looks like they're going for a very mild cell shader effect here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why they were. Yeah. So very
Mm-hmm.
strange to record that. And again, there's in that same shot, you see like there's health potions floating in the air, and you can see them further back. And again, this can be not shown, right? And also, this shouldn't be shown because from most of the video, I'm getting a different of the trailer. I'm getting a different build entirely than
Mm-hmm.
that one that's shown there, right? With the shader errors.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep, and like you said, you don't want to put anything that detracts from the game in the trailer because this is the thing that people are going to see first and foremost. And having like these things here, like where you can clearly see like the shading is different in certain aspects of the trailer, the bugs, that is not good. Like the final shot, like the minute 10 mark, like that style I think is like the cleanest that the game looks. And I'm assuming that could have been something that was done like further into the game's development.
right. Yeah. So again, I'm unsure where it is, and again, it's games are always changing constantly. They might
Hmm.
change some shaders up, they might change the direction. That's fine, but the trailer that you have on your store page should reflect what it currently is or the state of it. And if there's changes, if there's updates, the trailer should reflect that, and you should not leave old content in that doesn't, because again, then that's the customer's not sure what you're getting, if it's organized, what's actually happening, right? So,
Hmm. Yeah, so overall, like for the grade of this one, unfortunately, I don't like it's an okay trailer, but there's so many issues with it. And again, length is certainly a factor here. Remember, like more is not necessarily better unless you
right.
can legitimately show different things. Like we were in different environments, if there were completely different objectives, different things we're doing, that's a different story. But it all seems to take place in maybe like one or maybe I think like two different environments. Like either you're in a city or you're like kind of like out in a field on a mountainside, something like that. So it's unfortunately like hurting the game a little bit. So I think grade wise for me, I think we were leaning towards this to be like I can't put this into the C range. And I don't feel like it goes down to like the F range, but I feel like it's in like the D range somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it doesn't commit any of the terrible sins, with like,
Mhm.
a really long intro. It gets into the action quickly. It just drones on a lot of missed opportunities. Um, how about a D plus, something like that? I'm feeling.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with a D plus for it. So let's get to the images. So we have a
Okay.
total of 9, and definitely a few of these were in the trailer, or they look close enough to be in it. Number 4 is literally what they used for the thumbnail art.
Right.
And again, you can kind of see different resolutions. Could be like different modeling or different shading done. Like, especially if you look from like number 8 to number 9. It looks very different. Like number 8, like looks like probably the cleanest, I think, of the ones that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
6 is a different resolution. So unfortunately, with these images, again, having them be different resolutions, different looking, that's not what you really want to show for your game.
Right, exactly. I think what the minimum they need is 5, right? Yeah, and so the first 4, they're higher resolution, and I think that's what the current build is, except
Mm-hmm.
for the one that they used for the thumbnail, which is a big no-no. Please, please
Yeah.
don't reuse it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, blatant reuse of assets on your store page doesn't bode well for the rest of your product that you're creating, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't give me much faith in practices that you might be doing elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like there's the 4 at the end, different two completely different resolutions, and then 2 with 2 different shaders here. So again, I'm very confused which build we're looking at, and again, because the trailer kind of did the same thing. Yeah, I'm not. It's not leaving a good taste in my mouth here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And I just
Um,
caught another bug. If you look on the first screenshot, you can see the character's spear is like going through the character's leg.
Oh, okay.
The
There we
character
go. There's
model
another
there.
one. Okay, wait. There's another one coming up in the gifts. That's
Mm-hmm. Yep. So overall, the problem with these images is that again, different resolutions, different shaders. It's not giving me like a really good picture of what this game can do. So, think grade wise, I feel like we're in like the D minus range, primarily because of the fact that we're showing bugs. We're not showing things in the best light.
I mean, now that I'm looking at it again, and like I almost want to give it like put it in the F range. Um, but yeah, I think we'll go with a D minus. It's just again, these screenshots are not. It had the inventory, so there was a chance to show something with the inventory and something with progression. I think is mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those were missed, and man, yeah. So D minus then.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right.
Alright, so let's go down to the about this game. And before
Okay.
we do, if you look at the recent events and announcements, the kind of graphic or the this little card right here that you see, this was the original thumbnail for the game when we last reviewed it. And I think framing wise, I think it's a stronger thumbnail.
Yeah, definitely like 100%. If it was up to me, I would replace it with that one.
Mm-hmm.
The issues that we had with the thumbnail are pretty much all solved in this one. We can read
Mm-hmm.
the title, we can read the name, it's not the eye is literally drawn to the title.
Mm-hmm.
The characters there, it shows that it is an action game. I see various weapons in there. So it
Mm-hmm.
tells a lot more um in that, and and also the palette, the color
Mm-hmm.
palette that it uses works, right?
It's a
It's
lot
not as
cleaner.
lot cleaner, it's not as garish,
Mm-hmm.
the thumbnail's a little hard to look at,
Mm-hmm.
and this is much more pleasing to the eye,
Yeah.
so you know
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, looking at the about this game, we have multiple GIFs. And like the first line says, with 4 unique weapon styles. We're not really seeing that in this first GIF. We see, spear and sword, spear and shield. We see fireball and then lightning. And I would have liked in this first GIF to maybe do like a cut of, use a sword, use a spear, use whatever your weapons are.
you can definitely do like the quadrant gifts,
Mm-hmm.
even slideshow or something else. There's always a way. But when you're mentioning, okay, there's so many of this in the game, that's free. That's like a free gift for like free
Mm-hmm.
to show. Like, there's no reason not to show it. You're telling me that there's 4 unique weapons, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I don't think so. I only see the sphere really, and the sword. So I'm not really sure that there are other weapons, right?
Hmm. And if we look down at the third GIF, we can see several different bugs present here. So
Right.
for the people watching this, you kind of just saw that character kind of a super slide up the stair and up into infinity there. And there's a guy with his leg stuck in the pillar in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
Again, this is not what you want to show on your store page. I mean, if you want to do it like as like a funny GIF or a funny thing like in marketing, okay, that's a different story. But when you're trying to present your game at its most quality or highest quality to consumers, this doesn't bode well.
Right. The only reason to show something like that is if the game said and wacky physics or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what they're going for. So I see 2 physics errors right there in the game, and
Mm-hmm.
and easily, like, where the GIF is, they could have easily chopped it right before that happened, right? So
Mm-hmm.
again, that's telling me that no one was reviewing this, or it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter to them. I'm not sure, right? It's giving me mixed signals. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like you said, this is where you want to show the best of your game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not it.
Yeah. And we look at down at the fourth GIF where it shows the weapons. Again, I'm only seeing 2 weapons, the spear
Yeah.
and the giant sword. This would have been another good spot to show off some variety of weapons, show off some more variety of what's in the game.
Yeah, indeed.
And then if you look down here at like the second to last paragraph, you can see that it's telling about rise up, conquer cities, gain resources. We've yet to see any of that layer in anything that's been mentioned. And that is definitely a misstep here. And there's a spelling error right here with 4 Jin invaders lay siege of the Aztec Empire.
Right. And then on the final paragraph, the random capitalization of words,
Mm-hmm.
which is driving me bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
The more I view it, yeah.
So, unfortunately, it's another store page where or another about this game section where it's just not putting all the pieces it has together to sell someone on the game. And again, having anything that, shows bugs or issues is certainly a major problem.
Indeed. And again, I mean, I'm glad it has gifts. That's nice. But again, as I scroll down, what is said doesn't match the gifts.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like they were some gifts that they captured and they put in there. Uh, they don't really fit the motif. There's bugs in there, and then there's missed opportunities. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of missed opportunities. Like even the last one with the inventory, and they're cycling through the weapons, and it's like they don't show the other ones. It's maddening. So a lot of missed opportunities here.
Yeah. And
You know,
I just noticed another bug in the second GIF when he's shooting the fireball. You see it like stutter for a second, so it could have been like a FPS loss.
yeah, there we go. Yes. So I mean, though, that's so. Please, like, don't show that, because that now we know, like, there's physics issues in your game and there's like performance issues in your
Yeah,
game, right? And that's not the thing to show. So
definitely. Yeah, so I think grade wise for me, like seeing that stuttering as well as on
ooh,
top of
yeah,
everything, that I think knocks it down a little bit more. I think I'm gonna have to lower my original grade to maybe a D plus. I think for the about this game section, just because it's showing bugs, which is again just such a huge turnoff for the consumer.
right. It's such an easy thing to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if if you're trying, okay, like if you're working on your game and like clearly there's enough like actual gameplay going on in this game to record short little bursts and of your gifts, and they could
Hmm.
have done that and not shown off the weak points. So again, showing off the weak points is a bummer. I will agree with you on the D plus. I think we originally were going in the C range,
Yeah.
but yeah, D plus here.
Hmm. So with that, let's get to the title card. So we have three genre tags: action, indie, RPG. It's missing the gimme of single player, but those are, I think, three solid tags nonetheless. We reviewed the website. Website is good. Like I don't, it's not amazing. I think it does the job what it's set out to be. Twitter is active. YouTube channel is having videos on it. So, I mean, all in all, I think this is kind of like a workhorse title card. It doesn't do anything absolutely fantastic, but it doesn't do anything bad either.
Yeah, nothing to add to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they had a Discord, we would want it there, but I don't believe they do, so we can't exactly ding it for that. So again, like the title card, much like the images, it's very easy to do either really well or really poorly on them. So I think overall, I think B minus, maybe B minus B could maybe just be a little friendly or a little nicer to the game. But
Let's give him a friendly B. How
okay,
about that? Yeah.
all right. We'll give it a B for the title. Again, the only thing in terms of what's here that could be really added is just adding in single player to the
Right.
genre.
Right.
That's about it. So with that, the overall grade. So it started at a D plus, and from there, pretty much the only high mark is the title card at a B, and that's unfortunately the lowest in terms of impactful on the grade. So, with all the issues that we've spotted, I think we have to ding it a little bit more for the overall grade. I think for me, I think I'm going to give it a D.
Yeah. Almost want to go D minus. But let's just do a friendly D here.
Friendly
For it.
D, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, again, this is a good example, sadly, of a sword page where you're kind of showing off the wrong things for it. And that is a huge no, especially for an action driven game. Again, if you're trying to appeal to action fans, you don't want to show clipping issues, you don't want to show stuttering, FPS loss, and with kind of the different aesthetic, this is again why when it comes to game dev, when it's time to, market your game, you want to make sure that it is at that state where everything is on point. You want to make sure that, all the aesthetics, all the shading, all the graphical work of your game is done, all the UI is done. And for something like this, it feels again it was cut from different elements, and if it wasn't, it's giving that impression, and that is not good.
I mean, I have nothing else to add to that.
And it's unfortunate because you can see with the trailer, I some the slowdown when there's glory shots. Some of the combat looks very interesting. I know when I spoke with a developer, Trayvon, several times, he talked about trying to get the feel of combat down. And it does look again, when the game is kind of firing on all cylinders, that it looks good. But unfortunately, those moments are coming few and far between in the store page. And unfortunately, again, indie or consumers will, see that and then go, well, if the trailer doesn't look good, if I'm noticing stuttering and issues here, what's the chance that's going to be fixed in the game?
Yeah. Not only that, but again, after reviewing it, I'm still not sure what the game is about, other than there's combat in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's themed with what was it, Mayan right?
Mayan and Aztec.
Mayan and Aztec, and really everything happened in like one little battle area. So, and everything doesn't match up. And so, if I'm looking uh, for an indie game or a game of this type,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all these flaws would instantly, turn me away from this game quickly. Like you said, there's lots of bugs that are shown that could have
Mm-hmm.
not that don't need to be shown. They easily could have been taken out and edited um, until you get it into that state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just far too many flaws. The screenshots. There's a couple moral sins there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. There is the potential here, and I think if they tightened, up the trailer, use the old thumbnail that they had before, and strengthen up some of the things, that they might have a better shot here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, like when we're talking about like knowing your marker, know your audience, action game fans like they're willing to put up with like generic looking environments if the combat is on point. That you can
Definitely.
really wow them with crazy attacks, interesting combos. Like you really want to show off the breadth and depth of your combat system. What you don't want to show them again are frame rate losses, issues with bugs, and even as Josh pointed out, like the whole kind of conquering upgrades, that kind of thing. It's really like the most we see of it is 2 to 3 seconds of this GIF that's at the bottom of the page. And even with that, like the text, like the readability on that text is not the best. I'm even noticing another bug where it looks like the text on the descriptions of the items is being cut off by the bottom of the inventory bar.
This is
So
correct. Yeah.
that's just again like more issues on top. And sadly, these are things that, as I said a few minutes ago, like this is the stuff that needs to be caught before you do like a major marketing plug. Because if you, let's say you do that big Twitter or Facebook or whatever Instagram, TikTok, where all the kids are doing announcement, and everyone goes, "Wow, we have a new game. Let's check out the store page," and they see all these issues, you just killed any momentum that your big announcement had.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think that's all I have to say. Anything you want to add from you?
Um, you know, um, this store page in its state is a good lesson of a lot of things, sadly, not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than that, Josh, I think we've covered everything. Hopefully, they make some changes and update it.
Mm-hmm.
They do have some media, and they do have like you stated, there were some parts in the trailer where the combat looked like it was firing on all
Yep.
cylinders, and they could have really taken that and condensed it down, take it and condense it down and update it. Update the
Mm-hmm.
thumbnail, and I think you'll have a better shot. But I mean, other than that, Josh, that's it.
Yep. So with that, I think we'll wrap up the review here. So thank you everybody for tuning in again. If you'd like us to review your store page for a future, one second, let me just close my door. I'm hearing kitchen stuff. 1 second. All right. And I got some barbecuing to do as soon as I'm done wrapping up
Oh
here.
man,
uh,
nice.
all right. 3, 2, 1. All right. So with that said, we're going to wrap up the review here. Again, if you'd like us to review your store page for a future show, please reach out. Check out all of our links, descriptions, Patreon, Discord, all that down below and over there on the overlay. And make sure to check out Josh's game as well, Samurai Pig. And what else are you working on?
Yeah, Samurai Pig and Rooster Rampage currently in development. Links down below. Everything's around there. So be sure to like and follow. And if you have a game that you want us to, a Steam page that you want us to check out, please let us know.
Mm-hmm. So we'll be back with another episode real soon. And for everyone watching, come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. So again, Josh, it's great to see you back in the saddle for Sword Page. I'm sure we'll have a lot more coming soon.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So until next time, everybody, have a great rest of your night.